Did you know you're psychic? Yeah, we all are. It's part of the human experience. It's built in. But the reason that we're not all having visions and getting messages and being able to see things more clearly is because we've been trained systematically to mistrust this ability or to even believe that it exists at all. But underneath that conditioning, in you and me and everyone we know, is a brilliant visionary just waiting to come through. Hello lovelies, and welcome to Squeaky's Cauldron. I am your host, Sarah Evergreen. I am a spiritual coach centering on shadow work, inner child work, and working with deities. Thank you for being here. Today we are going to be talking about Hekate's key of vision and the gate of confinement that it unlocks. As always, before I start these episodes on Hekate's keys or Hekate in general, I do like to offer an opening prayer to Hekate to bring her into this space. If you would like to join me, please make yourself comfortable. If you would prefer to skip ahead, give it about 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, and join us on the other side. If you are joining me, thank you. Allow yourself to soften your vision or close your eyes if it is safe for you to do so. Okay. Hail Hekate, Queen of Witches. Our journeys are so blessed. Each key you grant us unlocks great power. Grateful we are for all your keys. The key of connection, which reminds us we are not alone. The key of solitude, in which we may come home to ourselves. The key of acceptance, for that which we cannot change. The key of courage, to face and overcome adversity. The key of desire, which brings us closer to you. The key of vision, so that we might move freely. The key of honesty, which brings us peace. The key of curiosity, so that we might live lives of truth and joy. And the key of devotion. Hekate, I live my life in service to you. Guide me. Make me ready. Illuminate my next right step. Help me to see more clearly and align more fully with my highest purpose, so that I might better serve you, serve myself, and serve those around me. Aho. If you joined me, again, thank you for entering into this space, and if you chose not to, thank you for honoring your boundaries. Okay, now on to the gate of confinement. Oh, what do I mean when I say this? So for me, a vision is something that allows me, as I say in the prayer, to move freely. It's something that gives me direction. It's something that opens up the path for me. And the gate of confinement, obviously, does just the opposite. It keeps me stuck. It keeps me in a rigid point of view or a specific kind of perspective that's usually not mine. Usually, that perspective comes from past experiences, from past training, from programming, from expectations of other people. The gate of confinement comes up in our path when we don't know how to move or are moving based on someone else's plans. And that is necessarily constrictive. It's a story we've all heard 1,000 times. The person who gets rich or successful or famous based on someone else's prescription and ends up being miserable. It's because they're not following their own vision. It's because they're not tapped into that intuitive and psychic nature that could lead them to something that is bigger and better and more beautiful than anything that they could have imagined based on the information that they'd gotten up to that point, the information that they'd gotten from other people. These visions help us to move in a direction unexpected, to move in a direction maybe that we wouldn't necessarily choose for ourselves, but can open up discoveries and relationships and opportunities that would not have been possible otherwise. So, as always, I've got an example from my own life. Not long after visiting Lagina Hekate, which if you haven't seen it already, go check out the video that I have, I spent some time in Cappadocia, Turkey. Cappadocia is fucking magic. Like, if you ever get the opportunity to go there, 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 recommend. So I was living in a cave in Cappadocia. Yes, I was living in a cave. So of course Hekate is like way fucking present for me. And one day I sit down to do a meditation. And it's just a normal meditation. It's like, okay, I'm going to sit for 10 or 15 minutes in silence. No big deal. I didn't even have a candle lit. It was the middle of the day. Whatever. And then I feel Hekate show up, and she reaches into me, grabs hold of my soul, and takes me to her garden. And so I walk through her garden. Some stuff happens. The details of that are not important to this. What is important is that as I was on my way out of her garden, we paused by a holly bush. And holly has figured quite prominently in a lot of my magic over the years. And I had the urge to clip 3 leaves from the holly bush. And as I did, and as I felt them in my hand, Hekate says to me, "Go to England." Okay. I don't like England. Now, no shade against the country itself, but it is not my, ideal place to be. It's cold, it's rainy, the culture is kind of stifling, and it's just not my bag. I much prefer places like Turkey and India, where there's more warmth and color and vibrancy. But she told me, go to England. And I have learned over the years that when a deity tells me to do something, it usually behooves me to follow through on that, because, like I said earlier, it opens up discoveries and relationships and opportunities that I could not have imagined myself. So I'm like, fine, I'll go to fucking England if you insist. I didn't go there next. I spent 40 days in Bulgaria after my Turkey visit, but in all of that, I moved myself in that direction. And while I was in Bulgaria, I made contact with someone who was living in Wales, and that relationship, played a whole big role in other things happening. So when I got to England, the things that ended up unfolding from England were pretty massive. There was, like I said, this relationship with this person in Wales, which proved to be quite transformative, if transitory. And I also connected with Hisam, with my partner, because I was in London, even though he wasn't in London. That's its own whole story. If you're interested in it, I believe we talk about it in the Sex Magic interview podcast or video episode, so you can go check that out if you want. But the point is, I followed through, even though I much would have rather gone to India or back to Turkey, and that changed the course of my life massively. And we all have the opportunity to do this, whether it's an intuitive hit or something that's more in the psychic realm. Like, when we get the information, we have free will. We can choose whether or not we want to follow it. And when we do follow it, that will increase our sensitivity. It kind of tells our psychic abilities or our intuition, hey, I'm listening to you, and I'm going to go ahead and do this thing. So Hekate is so much part of this psychic vision stuff because she is the triple-sided goddess. She sees the past, the present, and the future. She can see through these things and into a different realm. And she lends these abilities to us, or heightens these abilities in us when we work with her, whether that's through direct relationship and messages from her, or just a general increase in psychic ability. It's all baked in. And obviously Hekate is the queen of witches, and she's associated with the moon, specifically the dark moon. Both of these are highly connected to the intuition, to psychic abilities. When we're working with her and drawing upon this key of vision to unlock the gate of confinement so that we can move freely in the world and see these new things, she brings those powers, she brings that association into the mix with us and makes it just flower beautifully, like all of the wonderful plants in her garden, including the prickly holly bush. I'm curious, if you have ever had a vision that you followed through on, please let me know in the comments. What was the vision? How did you follow through on it? And what were the unexpected things that came out of actually moving in that direction and paying attention to those messages? Let me know. I want to take a minute to touch on the difference between intuition and psychic. To me, they kind of exist on a spectrum. You've got intuition over here, and then you've got psychic over here. The intuition is something that is easier to connect with. Developing that intuition can then evolve into more psychic abilities. The biggest distinction I see is that psychic abilities, that requires a lot more intention to develop those specific things. The book Psychic Witch by Matt Oren is a fantastic read about the different kinds of psychic abilities that we have, the different clairs as they're called, and how to develop each one. One of the things that he points out in that book that I think is really important is that we all have kind of a natural ability for, generally speaking, for one or two of the clairs. And leaning into those can help open the doors into developing the other clairs. But it's like if someone is very good at running, you won't say, okay, I'm going to go focus on weightlifting before I do the running. You'll say, I'm going to develop the running, and that can open the door to other athletic abilities because you focus on the thing that works best for you. So yeah, if you're interested in developing your psychic abilities in this way, check out that book. Very good. Maybe I'll do a review on it later. Who knows? If you're watching this, I'm assuming that at least to some degree you believe in psychic abilities, you've experienced them, something like this, but maybe not. So I'm curious, let me know, what do you think of your own psychic abilities or the psychic abilities of others? Drop a comment, and if you are liking this video, obviously hit that like button. Helps out the channel, helps me out, lets me know that you are enjoying what I'm putting out there. Also, if this is your first time here and you haven't subscribed yet, or your 50th time here and you haven't subscribed yet, this is the perfect opportunity. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any future amazing episodes of Squeaky's Cauldron. Now, we've got the mundane practice for you, and this week I want to bring two mundane practices for you because they're pretty basic. The first, study. What I want you to study in specific relation to Hekate's key of vision is studying Hekate. Get to know Hekate. Bring her more into your life through learning about her history, learning about the ways that she's shown up over time, learning about the different connections that she has to iterations of deities across different cultures, because she does show up over and over again. And you can find a lot of this information through online research, but also looking at books like Keeping Her Keys by Cynthia Brannon, Dr. Cindy Brannon, as well as Courtney Weber's book, the name of which is escaping me at the moment. But there's lots of information out there, and not all of it is going to resonate with you, which is fine. It shouldn't. Exposing yourself to it so that you can get more of that flavor and get more information about Hekate and develop that relationship with her will directly influence how clear the messages from her can become. The other practice is taking care of your physical vessel, because when we are in a place of ill health, often it becomes much harder to get those messages. When we become a clear and present and healthy vessel, it's much easier for those messages to come through. Now, if you are working with a chronic illness or chronic pain of some kind, this doesn't exclude you from the ability to pump up your psychic abilities, not at all. There's something that I was told once years ago when I went to a death cafe in Bremerton with my friend Jules. There was a young witch there, and they told me they navigated a lot of chronic health themselves, chronic illness themselves, and they told me that one of their strongest practices of devotion was their breath. Because even on the days when they could not get out of bed because of the pain, because of the fatigue, they could offer their breath to the God that they worked with. And that is really all you need in the present moment. Offer your breath. And like I said, take care of your physical vessel, because you want to create as much of a fertile canvas, so to speak. Fertile canvas? I don't think that's a thing. A fertile ground for things to grow in. And even if you're not in perfect health, none of us are in perfect health, you still have access to channels. And practicing breath work is part of taking care of your physical vessel. So it's all connected, babe. It's all connected. Now, if you are interested in going deeper with this, with inner child work, with shadow work, please check out my coaching offers in the show notes. I have a couple of offers available right now, an 8-week course as well as a 4-week course, and I'm offering custom meditations just for you. This includes 30 minutes on a call with me to see exactly what you want to be calling in and meditating on, and then I'll send you a meditation that's been written specifically to fulfill the needs that you are presenting. So again, check out the links in my show notes and schedule your free discovery call today to see how we can work together. Your magical practice for unlocking the gate of confinement with the key of vision is to create a psychic talisman. Now, this is something that I got from Matt Oren's book, Psychic Witch. The idea is to create a physical object that is charged with the power of psychic vision that you can wear on you all the time or whenever you want to just open up a little bit more. So the first thing is that you need a talisman. Ideally, I think this is something that is made with amethyst. Silver is also very powerful because it's associated with the moon, and the moon's associated with intuition and psychic abilities. I have this necklace that my dear friend Stephen Anderson of Metal Mysterium made. It is a moon talisman. If you're interested in getting something custom made, I highly recommend working with him. I will drop his info in the show notes as well. You take your talisman, whether it's a piece of jewelry or even just a piece of stone, and it doesn't have to be amethyst. Clear quartz also works really well because it's ultimately programmable to anything. And then you'll cleanse, ground, and center. The way that you start any kind of ritual. Cleanse yourself, cleanse the space, ground yourself, and center in your heart space. And if it's in your practice, go ahead and open the circle. And then you call in Hekate. Call in her powers of vision, call in her triple-sidedness, call in her guidance, call in her strength to be there with you during this ritual. Then you'll cleanse your object. If you are looking for different cleansing methods, you can check out my video on cleansing practices. You don't have to use smoke. There's many other options available to you. But you do want to cleanse this object to get rid of any other energies that are attached to it that you don't need to bring into your life. Then you'll get into an alpha state. Now, this is very helpful because it kind of preps you for moving into any kind of magical practice or specifically working with your psychic abilities. You can do this through different guided meditations or listening to an alpha brainwave music meditation. Again, Matt Oren has a great process for this in his book. However you get there, get there. And then holding the object in your hand. Say something along the lines of, I imbue this with psychic powers. When I wear this, I am open and ready to receive messages from the world. Use your own words. if you want, or use those words, that's fine too. And while you're doing this, focus on your third eye. Focus on opening your third eye and allowing that to shine clearly through that center, because this is where your psychic power rests, here and in the pineal gland, which is directly behind your third eye center. Kind of amazing how thousands and thousands of years ago, when the third eye chakra was, I don't know, like presented, they knew, there was a knowing of the pineal gland and how that affects our ability to see and see clearly and see broadly. You'll open your third eye and then you'll say this with your object over and over and over again, pouring that intention into the object until you feel that energy has grown around you, around your object, and you're able to, like physically feel it. And when you're done with that, you can close your circle, thank Hekate for being there, and then whenever you wear that talisman, you'll be bringing in the energy of connecting to your psychic abilities. And when you do that, take notes, take notes, take notes, take notes. That's always going to be helpful. And when you get a message that comes clear, when you get direction to do something, do it. Do it. Move through the fear and do the thing, because that is going to create a snowball effect of getting more messages, getting more visions, being able to tap into that more easily, because it's then being respected by you and honored by you through your actions in the mundane world. So remember, psychic abilities are not reserved for some rarefied group. They are available to you now. You have everything that you need to develop into a psychic powerhouse, especially when you're calling upon the support and guidance of Hekate. If you work with any of these practices, or you already have a connection to Hekate and your own psychic abilities, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know about your experiences and how that has shown up in your life. And if you want to connect with this key more deeply in a meditation, do check out this meditation video that I have created specifically for that. Okay, my lovelies, thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and as always, use your voice.